Hello there. Dog's saying hello as well. Well, I got a new pipe in the post the other day and I'd like to show it to you. And it's what they call a radiator pipe. And this piece of gubbins has the bowl that you fill with the old tobacco, and I don't know whether you can see or not, but there's a tiny little hole in the bottom of that. Well, not tiny, but you know, poker size. Smoke comes down into this little aluminium bowl or cavity, and the cooling effect of the aluminium cools the smoke down. It condenses the smoke into a little reservoir here, and above the reservoir is the pipe, and up comes the smoke into your mouth, and it's nice and cool because it's had a long journey. And I must say it actually works quite well, because you can see the amount of liquid that's in the bottom of the reservoir, and you can keep smoking it all day long, no problem with that at all. But the reservoir does fill up, and I would say you probably need to empty it after every 3 or 4 smokes. This is probably enough for the average person. There is, I don't so much think it's a design flaw, but there is maybe a small wrinkle with smoking this pipe, and that is that what do we do? When we smoke our pipes, we have a nice bowl of tobacco, and we turn it upside down and we give it a little spank, and out comes the ash. But with the radiator pipe, no, that still does exactly what it always does. It empties the bowl, but what it does do is it causes the liquid that you've managed to separate from your tobacco to run up the reservoir, as thanks to gravity, and it goes into the bowl, and then you notice this really rank, nasty smell as the liquid goes all over the bowl. But no, it's very simple. If you use the intelligence that God gave us, you just unscrew the bowl, tap it upside down, and out comes the ash, and then you put the bowl back on again. It adds, I don't know, 7 seconds to your process. You know, I'm sure we could live with that. The only problem is remembering and making sure you don't spill the contents of the reservoir up your pipe. Well, this is a little bit of Sonali white and black. Lovely oriental smoke that I'm quite fond of. I'm trying to smoke it today because I don't think I took quite the time necessary to pack it as well as I should have done. Anyway, see how we get on with that. So this pipe that's evolved from what the Indians did way back in prehistory, it's got all the modern kind of ideas of condensing and cooling. It looks quite nice too, and it's got the interchangeable bulbs. Because we all have in our collection a variety of pipes. And this one maybe makes as good an attempt as any to tick all the boxes. This is a Meerschaum pipe that I smoke quite often. Meerschaum is a stone that they carve. I believe you find most of it in in Turkey, and before it dries out it's quite carvable. Meant to be like soap apparently to carve. But the advantage of Meerschaum is that because it's a natural stone, it absorbs liquid and tars, and it changes colour over time into a beautiful darker shade as the tobaccos and all the gunk that you don't really need gets absorbed by the Meerschaum. Our favourite church warden. It's a Duncan Society, and you smoke this and you get a lovely cool smoke and it looks nice. And this is a pipe made from olive wood. Olive wood is more scarce than briar. I believe it's harder, and it gives a lovely smoke, as does the briar, but briar doesn't absorb anything apparently. Which is why the Meerschaum is slightly better, according to some people. And this pipe is a falcon. It's the first pipe I ever owned. And you may hopefully be able to see that there's a small reservoir in there. The smoke comes down the bowl in a slightly bigger hole than the radiator pipe. But once the pipe is put back together again, there's a very small gap, you won't be able to see it, between that dimple and the bottom of the pipe. So very little tobacco comes through, and the metal pipe body has the advantage of doing what this does, and that is condensing the smoke. As evidenced, when you clean it, because that little reservoir can be absolutely full of stinky, nasty doings. And Falcon give you a little filter which goes in the bottom of that pipe, and basically it's just a little round piece of pipe cleaner. So that can help pick up some of the moisture, so when you tap your pipe out, most of the gunk stays in the pipe. So there's lots of different kinds of pipes and the way they're made. I've got a plastic pipe here, made from plastic, but of course the bowl is Meerschaum. And the shank metal, again, it cools the pipe down. And this is the first pipe I ever bought, which is the Falcon. And this is one that I bought quite recently. And it has a briar bowl, but inside it's lined with Meerschaum. And I see on the internet more and more there's Meerschaum lined bowls. Of course, the idea being that the Meerschaum absorbs some of the gunk that would ordinarily end up in your lungs. So I started thinking, because I've got plenty of time and not enough to do, about the qualities of Meerschaum and briar and metal, and you know what the blender thought when he blended his tobaccos together, and the merits of maybe the Meerschaum lining picking up some of the gunk. It's truly horrifying to see what ends up in the bottom of your pipe bowl, the stuff that would ordinarily go into your lungs. So it's quite gratifying to realise that you're not getting that muck. And I've got a Meerschaum bowl ordered for this, just to see what difference that makes to the amount of liquid that collects in the bottom, if it does make any difference at all, or whether it's just a prettier looking bowl. Well, there's another pipe. There was a gentleman called Professor Kirsten, German, I believe, went over to the States in the 30s, and he was a very bright guy. He developed the wind tunnel for Boeing when they tested their airplanes, and he did lots of other things as well involving propellers, and so he probably knows how liquids work and air and all the rest of it. But he was a pipe smoker, and his doctor told him not to smoke anymore. So he developed this, the Radiational Plate. And this piece of engineering is a bowl that comes off. You can make anything you like on there, as long as you've got the piston fitting. The air travels into this, which is a hollow body, and there's a little hole in this valve that, when it lines up, allows the smoke to come through. And then when you turn this valve, it doesn't allow the smoke to come through, but more importantly, when you tap it out, it doesn't allow the contents of the body, which is full of nasty smelling liquid, to go back into the bowl. And the idea is that you can pop this in your pocket without sort of stink happening inside your pocket. There's various other features to the Radiational Pipe. This is one of the first that was made back in the 35. And you know, it's a lovely smoke. And you can feel the body warming up. The smoke coming in is cool. And when you clean the pipe out, you realise all the truly horrible stuff that would have gone into your lungs. So I think Professor Kirsten deserves a 10 out of 10 for that idea. As do the guys that made the Radiator pipe, which I can highly recommend. And I'm still swithering with which pipe I like the best. I'll always have fond memories with this, the first pipe I ever bought. It's not the first pipe I ever smoked, there's some of Dad's. And as time's gone on, the Falcon people have developed funky stems with different colours in the middle. There's any amount of bowl, from Meerschaum to this briar with Meerschaum inside. It's quite fun to swap the bowls around. And so that's what's been going through my head. It's what happens in the bowl, how it gets lit, what happens to the smoke, the quality of the smoke as it goes up, what would be your normal pipe, the briar, into the plastic or Bakelite or whatever's in your pipe. And the church warden, which I really do love to smoke. It is quite precious to me. So I'd be happier to go around with this in my bag. It's a little bit more portable. And of course they do make them in shorter stems and straight stems as well, whatever you want. So I suppose there's another bit of progress. You can customise your pipe, put a different bowl on it, put a different bottom on the same bowl, and it still does the best for you by taking away all those things that you really wouldn't want to get near, certainly not having your lungs. I was worried that with it condensing, and with some of the tars and some of the other quality of the tobacco, with it resting in the bowl here and coming out of the tobacco, well, you'd lose some of the taste of the tobacco. And I thought, well, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I smoke the same tobaccos in different pipes, and I've come to the conclusion that the contents of this container are so revolting that no one would want them anywhere near their lungs, regardless of what it might give to your smoke. I think it actually improves it. So that's been occupying my thoughts for the last couple of days. As I say, purely as something to do to keep the mind occupied. It's been interesting. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little journey of cogitation that I've cooked up. If I get round to it, I can show you a little bit more about these pipes and some of the other things that I have in my collection. Because it's fun. It's fun to see the pipes and you look at them and think, why on earth did I buy that? Because it looked lovely, because it had a lovely shape, because it evoked memories. Anyway, that's all the time I should waste with yours today. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and bye bye.